as short as 2 to 3 weeks has proven to have very, very good effects on your lipid profile, on your blood sugar levels and everything. So this is a very scientific way by which to go about correcting your metabolic diseases. Another thing which regarding eating which I picked up from these centenarians is they do not eat alone. So which is the current trend? You put on Netflix and you order a pizza and you chomp away and you don't realize you've eaten so much calories just sitting there. So here they were always in a group. They ate with their friends, they ate with their family, and that really increased, of course, their enjoyment and hastened their satiety level. So they did not overeat. And there's a very interesting concept called the Hara Hachibu, which simply means ki don't get up when you are completely filled till here. Always leave some percentage. So if you have 2 chapatis, try to finish at 1.5. You should leave when you're 80% full. You don't have to stuff yourself till the nose as well. So that restricts your calorie intake. And thankfully, the Okinawans stuck to consistently about 1900 calories a day. Now, of course, in the West, it was almost double. They had done a comparative study in the US. So they were eating at some points 4,000 to 5,000 calories in a day. And of course, eating slowly and eating your last meal, preferably early. The Jainism concept is also now coming back, that have your last meal by 7 p.m. So then you can, fast for 12 hours and then have your breakfast the next day at 7. Again, that's 12 by 12 intermittent fasting, and again, excellent results. So another, ma'am, you will not answer. I would like to ask the audience, anyone who would like to talk about this, are there any differences between religion and spirituality, or it means the same? Anyone has any thoughts on this? Yes, sorry, I can't see you, ma'am.
Religion is an external process, more of an external process. Spirituality is obviously an inner journey.
Thank you, Dr. Shobita. Thank you, Dr. Shobita. That was excellent. So yes, religion and spirituality closely intertwined, but very definitely they have differences. So a religion way to define anyone would be a very organized set of beliefs and rituals by which we get closer to our higher presence. And spirituality, on the other end, like Dr. Shobita correctly said, is more a personal quest. How do we, what kind of, we all have various answers at point of time which we are troubled with. So when we are looking for those answers, that is spirituality. And religion is, of course, based on a community approach, whereas this is more individual. Observable religion, you look at it, it's more extrinsic, measurable, whatever rites you're doing, whatever rituals you're doing. And spirituality is much more subjective and more intrinsic, more individual. And of course, more formal and lesser organized. And lastly, the behavior oriented. We do outward practices, whatever are rituals. In spirituality, you can continue to do as per your own individual violation. But now a very interesting concept which has come from here is what we call as positive spirituality, which takes the best from both religion and spirituality. So what Dr. Lalita talked about today, Sudarshan Kriya, is an example of positive spirituality. Anyone from any religion, any caste, any creed can do it. It doesn't belong to a certain sect, but it is giving you very good benefits, as she has explained. Every part of the body is definitely being enhanced due to positive spirituality. So the Rao and Kahn's model, now the fourth element has been added, which is positive spirituality. And why it has given us a good concept is that it has numerous benefits. It makes one humble, it makes one respect and value oneself, so your self-esteem increases. You have a certain purpose and meaning to life. If you've heard of the Japanese concept of ikigai, so there's a very beautiful book written by on that as well. And basically, if you have a purpose in life, you're likely to be a much more happier and a much more focused person. And lastly, subjective well-being. All things which we look forward to when we look for a healthy aging model. And of course, the stress, isolation, any kind of negative thoughts, any depression are then much more decreased. And lastly, we come to, again, a scientific basis. There is the how can we measure our attitude to life, a trait called optimism. And again, they found people who are optimistic, positive about life, tend to live longer. So there are certain tests. There's something called the life orientation test, which you are able to measure how good a person's optimism level is. And again, scientific studies have shown people who are optimistic, positive, their cardiovascular health is much better as compared to people who are not so much. And similarly, for people who are optimistic, they have a much better overall quality of diet. They listen to the doctor's advice, follow it, and survive for a much longer time. So this, I'm sure you all know of cases for people of the same age who develop cancer. Unfortunately, it's become very common now, and you do hear of people who are positive and who come through it unscathed, and there are other, unfortunately, who do not. So this is one major factor which plays a very important role in your recovery. So just for this, I would like to share, it's a very interesting study. I was talking about this earlier. This was conducted in the Harvard Medical School, and this started way back in 1930. So it's almost 93 years. They're going to complete a whole century now. And what they did, they followed a group of Harvard students, which included John Kennedy, who went on to become the President of the United States. And they basically followed these 724 men from diverse socio-economic backgrounds, followed them up lifelong, continued to meet them, and this is the lowest dropout rate. So ऐसा कोई study नहीं है जिसमें you can actually see a person developing over the years. And what is the conclusion is the director of this study, now there is the fourth director who has changed in these 100 years, and he is a psychiatrist, and he says the bottom line is that if we are happy in our relationships, we are going to be in a much better zone, and that is the most important influence in our health. So he's written a book about it. There's a beautiful TED talk on this. You can have a look at it by Dr. Robert Waldinger, which basically summarizes this study and tells us that our relationships, our positive social quotient is a very important part in making us into a healthy and productive aging. So related to this, last concept for today is something called intergenerational engagement. So this is again a study they did in Netherlands. There was an old age home, where, as you know, in the West it's common, the elderly stay in the old age homes, and there were around 50 elderly. These youngsters really made the elderly's life much more productive and happy. They started looking out for them, sharing their knowledge, learning new things from them. As you all know, our children are the one who teach our grandparents how to operate WhatsApp, which is now lifeline for all of us. So this is that intergenerational we talk about. So elderlies are being recruited into schools. So they are free, they can share their knowledge, and they can build good social and emotional bonds, which give them a very happy kind of feeling at the end of the day. So this is what has come from here. Quickly a few examples. I'm sure you heard of him. This is a marathoner based in UK called Mr. Fauja Singh. He started running at the ripe old age of 89. He lost his wife and he was very sad. And what to do? He started running. And he went on to compete in marathons across the world. And in fact, he ran one at 100 years. He is actually the only man who's completed a full marathon at the age of 100. So age is no limit. This lady just passed away 2 weeks back. She was 103. And I was making the talk, I had her here, and I thought I'd share. But anyway, so she was 85 when she got the first time a chance to show her own style collection in the UK Museum in New York. Metropolitan Museum, as you know, is one of the finest museums in the world. So she got a chance as 82. She had done it all her life, but that's where she picked up a chance. And then went on to star in a documentary, model for an agency, and she was known for her big glasses and her bright yellow colors. So she never thought, I'm 89, I can't do it. She went ahead and did it. And of course, we have our own, very own, which is this started. This is not moving now, Bacha. Can you do it for me? The next slide. हो नहीं रहा, आप कर दीजिए. So, and our very own Zinataman, if anyone is on Instagram, at our age, she was a model. We were, she was one of the fittest and most beautiful actresses. And now at 72, she has suddenly become the new heroine for the younger generation as well. So she's writing well. She writes a beautiful piece almost every day on the various topical issues, and she's respected, has a huge following, and now she's again, I think, got a modeling contract as well. So age is absolutely no limit at this stage, and we can quickly see what all these people do to age successfully. So it's very interestingly called the coach principle. So where C stands for curiosity. You have to let your inner child stay alive. Be curious constantly about what you're doing. So when you're traveling in the metro, next time talk to the person next to you. You just might discover something very interesting, And openness. This means you're willing to take a chance. We're not asking you to do anything risky. Don't go and start doing bungee jumping, but be novel. Do something different. Do something nice. Do a new skill. And that will, of course, open up various avenues. Associations, nurture your relationships, and being conscientious basically means you sign up for a yoga class and you go for it. So you do what you're required to do at the correct time. That is important here. And lastly, what you've talked about. The 3 pillars are back. Your sleep has to be following a good regular pattern. Diet has to be good. Again, we have extensively done whatever various paths you want to follow. And physical activity and the social component. So nothing, I think, can then stop us from living a very healthy and a productive life. So normally at this stage, at 70 you start declining, but depending on what the various factors we've talked about today, if they are implemented, you can continue to be living at your optimum. If not 100, at least 90, 95, why not? We can aim for that. And these are again, like I said, just to summarize, not just the absence of chronic disease, not just cognitive and physical function, all are social demographic factors, and most importantly, nutrition and lifestyle. Once we follow that, I'm sure we can, continue to go ahead and be as productive as ever. So I'd like to end with this quote that we are just not just, we should say that we've lost our youth, but this is a new stage. It is its own unique stage. Your kind of experience of elderly's experience and patience, so many virtues which are developed over the years are nothing the youngsters can compare with. So at the end of the day, thank you all for your patience, and I would hope that we can take away some of these messages home and spread it to our elderly to encourage them to live longer and better. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us better insight and understanding about successful aging. Now my idea is